More guys, and welcome back to this new Star Citizen video on my channel. In this video we're talking about the comments under my last 3 videos. I've been reading the comments under the last video and wow, you guys are angry. And you know what? I get it. We've sparked a huge debate about Alpha 4.5. There's a lot of fear, a lot of frustration, but also some interesting points. Today we are looking at your harshest criticism of the engineering update. Has CIG gone too far? Okay, let's start and let's move on to the first major block that really heated up the debate. It's about the topic Force Crew versus AI Crew. User GTD write the following: yes, large ship have a multiplayer crew, but nowhere does it say that this is necessary consist of human players. All multiplayer ships should have the opinion to play with AI crew or not. It hurts no one, but if you make it one-sided, some will be disadvantaged. Okay, this is a point I read very often. And I want to be completely honest with you here and maybe butt some hard facts on the table that some might have forgotten or repressed over the years. You're talking about being disadvantaged, but we have to remind ourselves what Star Citizen actually is at its core and what it has intended to be since day one. We are in an MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. The social aspect, playing together with real people, is not just a nice bonus, it is the foundation of the universe. I think there is often a misunderstanding between CIG's 2 projects here. If you are the type of player who say, I want peace and quiet, I want a huge story, and I want the experience epic space battle alone, then Squadron 42 is exactly the game for you. That is the dedicated single-player campaign. But the persistent universe, we are and follows different rules. And here we need to clear up an expectation. Many are hoping for NPCs and AI blades to being the savior for soloists and capitalist ships. Yes, they are coming, but, and this is a huge but, they will not and must not ever be as good as a real human crew. Why? Because of balancing. Imagine if a solo player with an AI crew that aims perfectly and repairs perfectly was just as strong as 5 real friends coordinating via Discord. That would destroy the entire MMO concept. No one would play together anymore. So here's my real talk. Anyone dreaming of dominating the universe in an Idris with a pure NPC crew and winning against organized players groups is going to be disappointed. CIG will always reward team play. If you want to stay absolutely solo, single-seater ships are made for you. If you want to fly the big vessels, you have to accept that is an MMO. You also rely on other people, or you have to live with massive disadvantages in AI efficiency. That's not disadvantage, this is the game design. And this brings us directly to the next comment from MarkSteven9280, who represents a very interesting counterpoint. He writes, I've been playing solo for 6 years. For me, it's basically an offline game. I've never interacted with anyone, and that's exactly how I like it. First off, wow, 6 years in the verse without a single interaction? That is almost an achievement in itself, considering how busy the stations and outposts are these days. Unless you're strictly mining on the most remote moons, you usually run into people every few minutes. But very importantly, that is totally okay. Star Citizen is a sandbox. If you're enjoying drifting through space as a hermit, doing your own thing and enjoying the silence, then you aren't doing anything wrong. No one has to be a social. However, the point where I want to chime here, and this isn't directly specified at you, Mark, but at everyone who maintains this playstyle, is this. I often read comments from players who live exactly like this, but then start getting loud as soon as CIG introduce features that promote interactions. Suddenly you hear, CIG is forcing this on me, or why can't I do this alone? And here I have the point back to core of the project. We are playing an MMO, even if you treat it like an offline game for yourself. CIG is developing a universe based on cooperation, economy, and conflict between players. Enjoy your peace as long you can find it, but be aware. When mechanics arrive that requires cooperation, like engineering on capital ships, that is not an attack on solo players, but the consistent evolution of the MMO vision. Those who insulate themselves, essentially playing against the current, that can be fun, but it will become increasingly different as development progresses. Okay, and let's move on to a comment that I personally find extremely strong, because it shows how to deal with the situation proactively instead of just getting angry. Marconi333 writes, I swapped my large ship from small to medium one. Now I have 19 ships instead of 9. That was the best decision I made with my fleet. To me, that's an absolutely major decision. Respect for that, Mark. At first glance, it might sound sad to some to melt down their big pots. Often people saved up for them or dreamed about them for a long time. But you did exactly the right thing. You adjusted your fleet to your reality. This is an option many forget. If you realize you don't have the desire or time to organize a real crew, don't torture yourself with an Idris. Melt it. Get a fleet of smaller ships that you can launch alone at any time. That is incredibly liberating. By the way, I do exactly the same. My hangar mainly holds small to medium ship like the Drag Vulture. Why? Because I have an org for the gigantic operations. That's the beauty of clan life. Not everyone needs to own a Carrack or Polaris. It's enough 1 or 2 people in the org have those ships. The rest of us then provide the crew. That way everyone gets to enjoy multi-crew gameplay without even having the beer to responsibly and coast for the giant vessels. So Mark hasn't taken a step back here, but has positioned himself more strategically. Less frustration, more flexibility. More flexibility. Some people should perhaps take an example from this. Oh yeah, guys. I try my best to translate this in English. Now for myself, not with KI. Now things are getting a bit more heated. We have a comment here from Furor620, who predicts a very dark future for Star Citizen. He writes, CIG will ruin the game. The developers are going completely crazy. This will lead to a collapse in ship sales. Mark my words. You say, mark my words. I say, let's check the facts. Because there is a massively misunderstanding here. Not just on your part, but among many who are currently panicking. Do we really believe the developers are going crazy? No, they are simply implementing what has been in the design document for years. Whatever it's a capital ship or an industrial monster like the Orion or Reclaimer, it was never planned that you should operate these giants effectively alone. But the point that you and many others are forgetting or ignore is not just engineering. It is the economy that is yet to come. We are currently in an alpha phase. We have infinite money, we have afford everything, but that will change. In the future, operating an Idris or Javelin will cost astronomical amounts of in-game currency. Think about Klein Coast and insurance timers. Why do you think CIG is building tow trucks like the SRV or repair ships like the Vulcan? Simple. because in the future it will be so expensive and time-consuming to claim a destroyed ship that will be forced to salvage and repair it. Anyone who thinks they can just press respawn later and get a free new ship is in for a rude awakening. Ammo, fuel, crew salaries. It's going to get expensive. So I strongly warn against believing that engineering is the only hurdle. The game will become massively harder, more complex and more expensive to maintain. That is not developers going crazy, that is the planned design for an economic simulation. Personally, I don't think that's a big thing. On the contrary, I know what I signed up for. But if you're really panicking about a few fuses, you should embrace yourself for when the real economy hits the game. And yeah, let's move on to the next comment from Ligard Resident. Really resonates with me, but perhaps in a different way that he intended. He writes, engineering is like breaking through the floor. First, you work in the real life, then you're a slave on someone else's ships. That is a harsh comparison, but I have to be very clear here. That is nonsense. And if it feels that way to you, it's not because of the game design, but because of the people you are playing with. Honestly, I wouldn't want to spend my free time with people who treat me like a slave either. Multicrew should be in collaboration between colleges, communicate between adults on equal footing. But I know where this fear comes from. I've been around long enough. And I've heard stories from orgs that makes your hair stand on end. There are groups out there where you are a nobody if you haven't spent at least $1,000 in the Plat store. That is not a joke. I have reports and even screenshots where players were rejecting or giving conditions like you can only join the squadron if you have 4 gladius in your hangar to replace losses for the others. You might think I'm exaggerating. No, these elitist demands actually exist. And my advice to you, Legard, and to everyone else, if someone makes you feel like you are just a slave or an asset, then run away. Find other players. There are fantastic and relaxed communities out there. Don't let the game be ruined for you by toxic leaders who want to live out their power fantasies. Anyone who wants to see proof of such absurd org rules or is looking for a normal group, feel free to join my Discord. We have to clearly distance ourselves from such behavior. And now, the next comment from Glenmore98 brings up a topic that keeps boiling over in the Star Citizen community. Expectations based on money invested. He writes, I don't care. I paid $2,000 to play my game, not to repair boring components all day or invite strangers. We'll probably just have to wait for the AI blades. A good break from the game. The idea is perfect. Okay, Glenmore. First of all, taking a break is an excellent idea. If the current state frustrates you, distance is exactly what you need. But I urgently need to clear up a widespread misconception that I'm reading between your lines. The belief that money can change game design. You say you paid $2,000 to play your game, but the hard truth is you donated $2,000 so CIG could build their game. And their vision has always been an MMO where cooperation is key. It is a dangerous fallacy to believe that buying expensive ships allows you to buy your way out of how to game mechanics work. You are waiting for crew blades and NPCs at the Great Salvation, but here too I had to be the bearer of bad news. Even when they arrived, they literally wouldn't work for free. CIG has stated in the past that you might need additional game packages, that means character slots, for your own custom NPC crew, or at the very least they will eat up a massive chunk of your in-game profits as salary. I fear that when you come back from your break, in eventually 2 years, you might be in for a rude awakening. An MMO will never be effectively playable solo in a capital ship, no matter how many AI blades you installed. A single player with AI blades will always lose out against a real crew. Money buys you ships in Star Citizen, but it doesn't buy you God mode, nor does it buy you special privileges in the gameplay. I really hope you prepare yourself for that. The disappointment upon your return will be even greater than it is now. And yeah guys, after all the drama and fundamental debates, it feels good to read a truly constructive suggestion. John Mystery brings up an idea that seems absolutely logical at first glance. He writes, I hope they will introduce automatic fire extinguishing systems. In reality, they are everywhere, from simple sprinkler systems to foam generators. It would also make sense that ensure such a system is stocked and functionally as part of the preparation. In principle, that is a fantastic idea. And you are right. In reality, every large machine hall has something like this. So why not on a spaceship? But here we have to apply Star Citizen logic. If CIG implements something like this, they won't make it video gamey simple. Imagine you have a foam suppression system. The fire is out. Great. But what then? When CIG, the foam doesn't just vanish into thin air. Suddenly, you no longer have fire gameplay, but clearing gameplay. Who cleans up the foam? Does the foam cloak the ventilation? Do you slip on it? Such system wouldn't necessarily reduce the work, but just shift the problem from extinguishing to cleaning up. Nevertheless, I find the approach extremely interesting, especially if you like it to ship manufacturers. Maybe luxury industrial ship or high-tech companies have such automatic systems, while with Drake Interplanetary you're lucky if there's even a handheld extinguisher on the wall. The difference between military, robust, manual, fail-safe and civilian, automated, comfortable would also be a great balancing element. I can easily imagine that we will see such tech in the future, maybe as an expensive upgrade module. But be warned, with Chris Roberts, automation usually means you have to maintain the automation afterwards. Let's move on to the topic we can all agree on: server performance. Knusperkeks 1337, sorry Knusperkeks, ich muss es so sagen, has had enough. And he brings up something many are demanding. He writes, without the server infrastructure and the backend, it probably won't be very nice. I fear, and I can't listen to the White Knights anymore with their saying about Chris Roberts' vision, blah blah, finally bring daily server restarts so they run properly. I can understand your frustration 100%, and believe me, I'm not White Knight sugarcoating everything. When server lag, it's not fun, period. And you are right, daily restart will massively increase our enjoyment in the short term. Fresh server always runs best, but, and this is a technically cache, these restarts would actively work against development. Why doesn't CIG do it? Do they want to annoy us? No, they need the data. CIG needs to see what happens when a server runs from 24, 48 or 72 hours straight. When do memory leaks start? When do database degrade? When does the backend crash? If they restarts every day, they essentially wipe the evidence of the crime before they can find the curse. We players are, as harsh as it sounds, the guinea pigs here. We generate the load, we cause the errors. If they restart every day, we would have a smooth gameplay today, but the development of technologies like server meshing would be delayed even further because the critical long-term data would be missing. So, yes, it is incredibly annoying, but the lack of restarts is not incompetence, but a necessary evil so that the backend can eventually run truly stable without needing to be constantly rebooted. Well guys, if we look at all these comments today, from the fear of solo players to the frustration with the tech, all the way to hope for new features one thing become crystal clear. We are at the crossroads. Not only is Star Citizen growing up with Alpha 4.5, but we as a community have to grow up too. We saw today that many of us are still holding on the old dreams. The dream that enough money lets you play God. The dream that an MMO must feel like a single-player game. Or the fear that cooperation automatically means slavery. But we also saw that there are solutions. Those who remain flexibility and adjust their fleet like Macrony will win. Those who understand that we are testers, not just players, can endure the server lags. And those who stay away from toxic orgs will automatically have fun in multi-crew. Star Citizen is challenging us. It is telling us to our faces, I'm no longer a power fantasy. I am in simulation. And that hurts. It shakes up our habitats. But that is exactly what makes this project so unique and so controversial. And that is exactly why I want to end this video with a question for every single one of you. Whether you are lone wolves or an org leader or a critic, where is your personal red line? Is Star Citizen 4.5 and the push towards engineering the moment for you where the game finally truly begins? Or is it the point where you say, this is too much work for me, I'm out until Squadron 42 arrives? Write this in the comments. #Team Realism or #Team Fun. I will read every single comment because I believe this discussion has only just begun. Thank you for watching, and we see us in the next video or every Saturday around like 6 PM Europe time on Twitch. Or at very least, we see us in the verse. Take care, guys.